When looking at Disney's major theme park attractions, many have one thing in common: themed mountains that are more than just an exterior, but stand as icons and symbols of the parks themselves. And with the story of Magic Kingdom's unrealized Fire Mountain and Bald Mountain, it's a tale of not just what could have been, but at what was lost in the process. On June 14, 1959, Submarine Voyage opened at the Disneyland Resort, and in 1971, inspired by the film adaptation of the Jules Verne novel of the same name, 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea debuted as one of Walt Disney World's first attractions at the Magic Kingdom.
The Nautilus becomes your vessel, and Captain Nemo your host, as you embark on a perilous voyage 20,000 leagues under the sea.
The ride quickly became a favorite among guests, and was adored by many for years to come. However, in September of 1994, the attraction was suddenly closed without notice, for what was believed to be a temporary refurbishment. But to the surprise of many, less than 2 years later in 1996, the closure was made permanent. Reasons for the closure have been endlessly debated back and forth over the years, from supposed new ADA regulations for wheelchair accessibility to Disney being unable to find a new sponsor to cover the major rehab costs.
Most everyone uses this Disneyland camera store as headquarters for Kodak film and cameras.
But one source claims that the primary reason was due to the ride being a nightmare to maintain, both in terms of difficulty and cost, and was shut down by Magic Kingdom's operations staff.
Okay, listen to me carefully. I want you to kill it.
Either way, Disney had no plans to remove the lagoon itself, and with this new spot of land now available, CEO Michael Eisner assigned 2 separate Imagineering teams to develop an attraction to utilize this area.
You've read Jules Verne.
I adore Jules Verne.
So do I.
As the story goes, in wanting to keep Jules Verne as an inspiration for what would be replacing 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, they came up with an attraction called Fire Mountain, an inverted roller coaster that would take guests through an active volcano, set to reside within a subland called Volcania.
Volcania. Sounds remote. Remote and useful. It was there that we built the Nautilus.
Inspired by the volcanic islands in Jules Verne's The Mysterious Island, and Captain Nemo's home base in the Walt Disney film adaptation of 20,000 Leagues, Volcania was planned to feature elements of Euro Disney's Jules Verne-inspired Discoveryland, which had repurposed many ideas from Tony Baxter's Unbuilt Discovery Bay for Disneyland. But around the same time, the second Imagineering team had come up with a completely different attraction altogether. Inspired by Fantasia's Night on Bald Mountain, the ride was to be called Bald Mountain or Villain's Mountain, which would be a log flume or roller coaster flume ride hybrid, and would have had guests in a Hercules Underworld-inspired vehicle, who would stumble upon a secret meeting of Disney's most iconic villains plotting to take over the Magic Kingdom. And after being pursued up the mountain, they would come face to face with Chernabog himself, and ultimately escape down a waterfall. Eventually, the 2 attraction ideas were pitched to Michael Eisner, who reportedly loved them both, so he proposed to keep Bald Mountain for the vacant lagoon, which was temporarily being used in the nearby Ariel's Grotto, and for Fire Mountain along with Volcania to be built between Pirates of the Caribbean and the Jungle Cruise. And much like the route alteration of Disneyland's Jungle Cruise for Temple of the Forbidden Eye, Magic Kingdom's version would do the same, and be integrated into Fire Mountain's Volcania. But in this proposal, with the under-construction Tokyo Disney Sea receiving a mysterious island-inspired land, Fire Mountain and Volcania would be reworked as a semi-sequel to the in-development Disney animation Atlantis: The Lost Empire.
Atlantis is waiting. What do you say?
Fire Mountain was to be one of, if not the most ambitious attraction in Disney theme park history, and would have included elaborate show scenes and state-of-the-art special effects. And while both Fire Mountain and Bald Mountain were planned to be built within a 5-year period, Fire Mountain would be incorporated into Eisner's ambitious plan to announce 4 new Disney e-ticket attractions by 2001, in order to compete with Universal's upcoming Islands of Adventure.
Come visit the all-new Islands of Adventure, one of 2 must-see theme parks at Universal Orlando.
Bald Mountain, on the other hand, is rumored to have evolved from a standalone attraction in Fantasyland to the signature ride for a rumored 5th land in the Magic Kingdom, based on classic Disney villains called the Dark Kingdom or Shadowlands, which would have been located opposite of Tomorrowland. But unfortunately, while it is believed that both of these ideas stayed alive until mid to late 2001, even so far as guests claiming to have seen hype balloons over Volcania's proposed land in early 2000, neither saw the light of day.
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
And while much is left to speculation, many believe that the dismal box office performance of Atlantis, along with the disappointing performance of Euro Disney and California Adventure, combined with Islands of Adventure no longer posing a threat due to its initial poor attendance, are major factors that led to the cancellations. And disappointingly, these events also resulted in major budget cuts, which affected another highly anticipated and development project. In reality, the former 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea property went mostly unused for nearly a decade, with the original 12 Nautilus submarines being scrapped and relocated to Disney's Boneyard. However, sometime in 2001, one of the submarines was repainted and shipped alongside another to Disney's Castaway Cay, where one was reportedly buried in the sand, with the other being submerged as a scuba diving destination. But sadly, the rough waters have since taken their toll. And with only 10 remaining, the fiberglass top to one of the Nautilus submarines was cut off and put on display in the queue at MGM Studios' behind-the-scenes tour, which has since been relocated between events over the years. As far as the rest of the subs, most met the fate of scrap dealers, who auctioned off parts of the famous ride vehicle piece by piece, before Disney allegedly ground up what was left over, and due to its lead content, was buried in an undisclosed location. In 2004, walls went up around the former attraction, and the lagoon was drained, and as revealed by an anonymous source, despite having been closed for nearly a decade, many of the ride's show scenes had been virtually untouched. And within a year, the lagoon was leveled and debuted as Pooh's Playground.
Oh, bother.
And in 2009, with the announcement of New Fantasyland and its subsequent attractions to take place of where 20,000 Leagues once resided, most gave up on the idea of seeing Fire Mountain or Bald Mountain coming to fruition anytime soon. However, in 2012, story elements of the proposed Bald Mountain did end up appearing in the interactive game Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, and rumors continue to persist about a volcano-themed ride or resort still being in the talks for the currently unoccupied area. But for now, while the land that inspired the creation of these unrealized attractions pays tribute to its past, it now exists as a reminder of not just what could have been, but of what once was. So what about you? Which of these attractions would you have liked to see in the Magic Kingdom? Also, I'd like to thank Walt Disney World News Today for providing images of the Fire Mountain concept art. And if you would like to help support me in the making of future videos, please check out my Patreon and shop in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.